Absolutely. And we have been dealing with road closures since this fire started. All morning long, I've been mentioning that PCH is shut down between Canaan Doom Road and Topanga Canyon Boulevard. Now, there are exceptions for folks that are trying to flee the area, obviously evacuate. They want residents to be safe. And the road is also open for first responders. The good news is, if there's some good news in this, is that traffic has not been bumper to bumper out there or very crowded on PCH. That could change just because they are calling more first responders in to fight this fire. But at this time, people are getting through the shutdown as needed. There's also a traffic advisory in effect from Malibu Canyon Road, which starts out as Las Virgenes near Mulholland Highway to PCH. That is a full closure. There is a soft closure at Lost Hills Road and Las Virgenes, but that isn't causing any problems at this time. I do want to mention that at Topanga Canyon, that is only open for residents in the area, local traffic. So thankfully, a lot of people have gotten out of Malibu. However, more first responders are going to be coming into the area, so we could see PCH get a little bit busier. But again, the PCH closure affects Canaan Doom Road to Topanga Canyon Boulevard. Michael, Annabelle, over to you.
You know, Holly, we were talking about these road closures, and I was caught in the middle of it. I was driving on the 101 freeway, and around Calabasas, it started getting so heavy. I mean, we were barely moving. So I just want to get that out there. So if you need to get on that 101 freeway, leave early, give yourself plenty of time, and be patient because everybody's trying to do the same. Everybody's trying to get to their destination. But
absolutely. And was it the eastbound side of okay. Yes, a lot of people trying to leave that area, so that makes sense, and thank you for that information.
You know, and I'm also hearing that the 118 is also getting heavy as well, because that's another route that many people are starting to take because they know that the 101 is congested. So the 118 to get onto the 405,
yes.
You know the 405 is just heavy all the time.
Okay. Yes, a lot of people will take Topanga Canyon Boulevard, bypass the 101, head to the 118 to avoid the traffic on the 101. So that's another good point you make. You see these surrounding freeways get a lot more busy due to the evacuation orders.
All right, Holly, we know you're on top of it. Appreciate it.
Get to meteorologist Stephanie Olmo. She's tracking the current wind conditions. Yeah. And Stephanie, I mean, yesterday we were talking about the winds and how dangerous this could be, the threat, and it still stands.
Yeah, and it panned out just like we were talking about here yesterday, unfortunately, because of the strong offshore winds. We were talking about how much of the day it was pretty quiet, but as we continue through the evening, the offshore winds were going to ramp up, and that's exactly what happened during the overnight hours, and it just continued through this morning. And we're still looking at some gusty conditions out there. I want to go over a couple of observation sites here as we check out the current weather conditions. This is Pepperdine University, where right now we're looking at gusts close to 30 miles an hour. Just nearby Malibu Hills, we're looking at gusts right around 40 miles an hour. Another number I want you to pay attention to is just up right here where we do have single digits humidity values. It is extremely dry. We do not have that moisture in the atmosphere. It's drying out that vegetation, so it's easy for it to ignite. I know we have this Franklin fire burning, but fire threat continues across the region, so that is the fact. So as we go over the visible satellite, you're able to see here some of that smoke from the Franklin fire. You have the northeasterly winds that continues to push that smoke offshore. So it is smoky, of course, it's hazy. The fire's continuing to burn. Now let's go over the wind gusts futurecast. Or currently, right now, these are the current winds around the area there. This is one of the wind-prone areas that we talk about that we're usually concerned when it comes to Santa Ana winds. And it's this specific area right around Moore Park, Thousand Oaks, stretching over into parts of the coastal communities in Piru. Gusts right around 31 miles an hour at the moment, and they're pretty much are going to stay very similar as we head into the next several hours out this way as we continue. Of course, we have the passes, we have the canyons, and what happens is you have the wind just funneling right through. The winds accelerate, so that's what makes it a wind-prone area there. So as we go over the fire weather outlook, it is extreme, especially throughout portions of Ventura County and LA County. This is including here the mountains of Ventura County stretching over to the mountains of LA County. Santa Clarita under that extreme threat. as we continue today, but even critical even as we head into the Inland Empire, which is another wind-prone area as we continue today. So today we're talking about it being a very gusty day, and again, it is panning out. Another thing I would like to point out, yes, we do have red flag warnings, especially throughout much of Southern California, especially in those wind-prone areas, as I mentioned. But we do have what the National Weather Service calls a particularly dangerous situation, also known as PDS, embedded in that red flag warning for Ventura and LA County. Now, it's not all the time that we talk about this PDS. It is a rare event. Sometimes we go years without talking about it. The last time, in fact, that we did have it was earlier in November, as we've been mentioning, where we actually had that mountain fire burn in Ventura County. It's another dangerous situation as we continue here today. So that threat continues through this afternoon. So let's go over some of the wind gusts and what we're expecting to see. So wind gusts around 50 to 80 miles an hour. As I mentioned, very, very dry fuels, and that's going to cause extreme fire behavior as we're looking at right now. Any fire that gets started could grow pretty rapidly and could be very difficult to control. And as I mentioned, it's the second time this year that this has been issued. Now let's go over the wind gust futurecast, and as we continue throughout the rest of this morning and heading into the afternoon hours. So we're looking at wind gusts around Simi Valley down to Thousand Oaks. You're getting that strong northeasterly winds, gusts around 30 to 40 miles an hour continuing, even in areas just north of Moore Park, for example. You see some of the coloring here. Gusts around 50 miles an hour will be possible as we continue just around 1, 2 o'clock. And then you start to see it weaken just a little bit, but still pretty strong. 4, 5 o'clock here later on this evening. Simi Valley, gusts around 40 miles an hour, right around 30 miles an hour in spots like Northridge down to Woodland Hills as we continue this afternoon. That threat continuing throughout the evening. We will have some spots where it looks to be pretty gusty. And eventually, as we head into Wednesday morning, the winds will gradually subside. Still breezy morning here on Wednesday, but we will continue throughout the day and the winds gradually subside. And we'll have more on the winds coming up here shortly. For now, back to you, Annabelle and Michael.
All right, Stephanie, thank you very much for that. We will stay tuned.